almost every day, someone under the age of 30 has been killed in Nashville, Tennessee. We are living in desperate times. We're living in times where the cycle of life is broken. No longer are parents being buried by their children. Children are buried. Parents are now burying their children.
Yes.
We're living in times where the unqualified hold the seat of power. Those who are qualified are relegated to positions of protest. How do you find hope in these times? In the midst of all that's happened in our country over the last 8 years, especially the last few months, I find myself contemplating. I find myself thinking and wrestling with the thought, how is it that we as a society, as a culture, have no true value for life?
Yes. All right.
I found myself deeply thinking and wrestling with the questions of a sovereign God's holiness and justice in a world that God, how can God allow physical and moral evil to still exist? How is it that the people are praying in a church and they can be gunned down by a killer? But then he gets a free meal from Burger King before he goes to jail.
Yeah.
Amen.
Come on now, come on.
I mean, the people in Charleston, South Carolina, as Mother Emmanuel had hope that the days of destroying the sanctity of the black church were over. How do you deal with the fact that your child can leave home, walk into the corner market,
Come on now.
looking at a bag of candy and a can of sweet tea, but he's then gunned down by vigilante racists who wanted to be a cop but was stuck in a position of a neighborhood watchman? How do you handle it? His mama had hope that by sending him to live in a gated neighborhood, to live with his daddy, he'd have a better chance in life. She had hope. What do you tell your family when you kissed your daughter, your sister, your niece goodbye? She journeys down to Texas to her alma mater. And 3 days later, she's found dead in a Texas jail cell. Questions with no answers. I mean, this family hoped that for Sandra, this was going to be the first of many major career moves. They hoped that soon they'd be celebrating with Sandra as she climbed the corporate and academic ladders, but yet they had to plan a funeral without even knowing the real reason Sandra was dead.
All righty.
What do you tell your beloved children? When your loved ones, your friends, your children, your lover, they leave the house on Saturday evening, going to a place where the name of it literally means a sign of life, just to dance for a little while, just to party for a little while, hang out with some friends, and then you get a phone call early in the wee hours of the morning, and you're told that along with 40 some odd other people, your child, your friend, your lover has been gunned down. What do you do? When in America, you have the right to purchase handguns, even though legally you've been classified as unstable,
All right.
mentally challenged, in need of help. Yet you can purchase assault rifles.
Come on
You
now.
can purchase guns with 100 plus round magazine clips without a background check, and then take the lives of 49 other people.
Jesus.
Just over a year ago in Orlando, Florida, there were 49 coffins filled with unfulfilled potential and hope.
Yes.
49 daddies didn't get a phone call that Sunday morning that said Happy Father's Day. 49 mothers had to plan the funerals for their children. And yet they were still arguing and politicizing gun control in America. How do you handle life
Come on now.
when everything that we do seems to point us toward dead places? Well, the first thing that we need to do, beloved, if we want to find hope in dead places, the first thing we need to do is to walk away from those dead places. We must first walk away from places that symbolize death and hopelessness in our lives. Verse 13 says, now the same day The two of them were going to a village called Emmaus, which was about 7 miles from Jerusalem. Some things in life, beloved, we're going to have to endure on this journey. Some things that we're going to have to go through. Some things that we're going to have to face that are going to feel like death-dealing blows. They're going to be so horrific, so traumatizing, and that the only thing we can do is walk away from it. The freshness of the pain is too much to deal with. You got to just walk away from it. The air is too thick, too many people with too many unanswered questions. So, beloved, you just need to walk away from it.
Oh, yes.
The men in the text are teaching us as they walk away from Jerusalem that there's nothing wrong with walking away from dead places. There's nothing wrong with walking away from situations and from people that symbolize death in your life. There's nothing
Come
wrong
on
with
now.
walking away
Yes.
from these situations that we. And beloved, what we don't realize is that if we really want to gain perspective, sometimes you have to walk away.
Yes, you do.
All righty.
Sometimes you got to settle some time. Sometimes you got to
Come
leave
on
that
now.
relationship. You got to change that relationship. There's some things
Yes.
that are so death-dealing that they drain us.
All righty.
And it's not until we get the courage to walk away
Yes.
that we're then able to gain perspective and see what God has for us.
Yes. Yes.
Children used to have a song a few years ago called "Walk It Out." They had a little
Amen.
dance they did.
Amen. Amen.
And beloved, I want to tell you this morning, there are some things in life you got to just walk out.
Yes.
Beloved, you cried enough. You need to walk it out.
Yes.
You've had enough sleepless nights. You need to walk it out. And when you begin to walk it out, beloved, you never know who you're going to meet on this journey.
Yes.
Text is teaching us next thing this morning. In order to get to a place of hope, we got to be willing to continue having hard conversations. Verse 14. We see that there's a conversation that these brothers are having about the things that have taken place over the last few days in Jerusalem. Why is this conversation important? It's important first because they continue to talk about what happened. Beloved, the first thing we need to realize is that there's some things in life that you're going to witness. Things that are going to be so bad that the only way you're going to get beyond it is to talk about it.
Wow.
It'd been easy for them to pretend that nothing happened. They could have done like so many others did. They just shut down, shut up, and shut the world out. What this text is teaching us this afternoon, this evening, is that no matter how hard the times become, no matter how difficult the situations in life that we face, no matter how horrific these death-dealing situations are in our life, if we ever are going to have real hope of getting beyond them, then we got to keep talking. As a people, we understand more than anybody else that we can triumph over tragedy because we kept having the hard conversations.
Yeah. Amen.
Don't you think Murder Evans wanted to be quiet? After Edgar was gunned down in their driveway with their children just a few feet away, don't you think the sister wanted to just be quiet? Don't you think Coretta and Benny Shabazz wanted to just be quiet? The men that they loved, the men that fathered their children, the men that led their homes, gunned down in front of them, but yet these sisters understood that if there was ever going to be hope for America,
Yes.
if there was ever going to be hope for the future of Black America, they had to keep talking.
Yes.
They had to keep having the conversations. They had to get the fortitude. They had to dig deep and put their fears behind them and continue having the hard conversations. They had special interest groups trying to silence them. They had the government trying to silence them. They had the president sitting in the White House telling them what they could not do. Yet these sisters continued to talk. Beloved, we can't let the blood of our ancestors, our children, line the streets in vain.
Yes. Yes.
We've got to continue the hard conversation.
Amen.
Now, my beloved, I'm almost done. But what troubles me in this text, one of my old professors, Dr. Buchanan, used to always challenge me. He'd say, Sebree, find the tension in the text. Find the troubling part in the text. It's hard to get an answer to. And what troubles me in this text, it says that Jesus joined them, but their eyes were not able to recognize him. The text not only says he joined them, but the text then says he began to have a conversation with him. And they asked him questions about what had happened in Jerusalem. That's puzzling to me this evening, my beloved. They had watched him die. They witnessed his ministry, but yet they could not recognize him nor his voice. No wonder as a people it's so easy for us to hurt each other.
All right.
No wonder it's so easy to lie on each other and to kill each other, because if we can't recognize Jesus when he's walking with us and when he's talking to us, we certainly cannot recognize the divine image of God that is in each of us.
Amen.
But aren't you glad that even when we don't recognize Jesus, even when his voice is mute to us, he'll keep walking with us and he'll keep talking with us. And that's a word from God to somebody here that's struggling and going through a life journey here tonight. That's good news. You're trying to make sense of all the hell that you're going through.
Come on now.
You're trying to understand what happened in our streets, what happened to the young man in East Nashville. Well, God's word for you this evening is that even though you don't recognize it right now, God is with you. Every tear that you shed, God is with you.
Yes.
Every sleepless night that you had, God is with you.
Yes.
Every visit to the hospital, God is with you.
Yes.
And every time you stood by the graveside of a loved one, God is with you. Even God is with you.
Yes.
No wonder our ancestors with no education,
All right.
no degrees, could say with such power and such fervency,
Yes.
God may not come when you want,
Come on now.
but he's always on time.
Yes.
I'm in my seat, beloved. My last point is simple. It's nothing profound. And it's simply this. When our eyes have been opened and our hope has been restored, we've got to go back and tell our brothers and sisters who are still suffering with no hope in dead places about who we met and what we experienced. If you continue to read the text, it says Jesus continued to walk with them. And when they got to their home, Jesus was going to keep walking by. But they urged him to stay with him for just a little while. So Jesus stayed with them, and as he reclined at the table, he then took the bread. And as he broke the bread and gave thanks, then the eyes were open. And immediately at that point, Jesus disappeared. And that very hour, they arose, returned to Jerusalem. And what this text is teaching us this evening, beloved, is that we have a responsibility to our community. Not just the community of faith. As well as to those struggling to believe.
All right.
In other words, after we've been blessed to see the Lord at work in our lives, we then got to go back and tell our brothers and sisters that are still struggling, that are still suffering, that have no hope. We got to go back and tell them while traveling home.
Yes.
We met a man who walked with us. And he talked with us. We got to tell him that he began to bless bread and bring it in our houses. And then we got to tell them, no matter what you're going through,
all righty,
you can meet this man.
Yes.
No matter how dark the hour, you can meet this man. So if you're looking for hope in dead places, beloved, first you've got to learn to walk away from dead places.
All righty.
If you're looking for hope, beloved, you got to be willing to have the hard conversations. And lastly, beloved, if you're looking for hope, once you receive it, once your hope has been restored, you've got to be willing to go back and tell others.
All righty.
That I met a man while I was walking home, and his name is Jesus.
Yes.
Tell them how to walk with you
Yes.
and talk with you.
Yes.